The stories we tell. The stories we tell. Which just seems to fit perfectly. Good morning. This is a very dark morning. So dark that Mel thinks if she doesn't say anything, you won't notice because you can't see her, but you actually can. There she is over there. Yes, this is Miracles and Wonders live early in the morning on a cloudy, but not so cold morning. What did you want to talk about? Stories? Well, we were already actually having a conversation before we came on air, and it was just talking about stories, the stories we tell ourselves. And Mel didn't even know that's what I'd really written up about stories, but we were talking about a book by Paulo Coelho called Veronica's Going to Die. And it's about a bunch of people in a mental asylum, really. And one of them I was saying, that he had a shift in a mental asylum where his parents put him in there because they thought he was going to become a writer, was the way I put it, because one of the characters in the story has a kind of a parallel journey about being an artist. And so Mel was like, they put him in an asylum because they love him and they were worried about him and they didn't think that they had the skills to do what he needed. And so I was like, well, then there's only one story then. If that's the story, that everything's done based on love, there's no other story to tell. Mm. That means we just walk around the world, all of us telling the same story, that there's only one story, and it is love. Well, if you want to prescribe that. No, but I'm just saying there is no variation on it then for you. No, there is no variation on it for me. Everyone I meet it always comes back to love. Yeah. Mm. And then you were worried that means that you don't have a job because you're a storyteller. Well, no, it just means there's no variation. Well, yeah, and it means I don't have a job. If I'm a storyteller, then there's no story to tell except the story of everyone's doing everything from love. So I don't see where that leads to an experience, because then that's the experience. It feels like the experience is over, because if everyone's doing everything from love, well, then there's no variation. That's the story. That's not the experience. The experience is different to the story. Mm. Mm. So you can have the same experience and have three stories. The same way that you said you watched that movie about William S. Burroughs, and now there are two different stories, probably three different stories about what happened in those people's lives, but the same events occurred. The experience was the same, but there are three different stories. So your experience is going to be different, even though the story that I see is always about love. Mm. Oh yeah, and anyone can have any story they like, so it doesn't really matter, because they'll still have their story, whatever that looks like for them. So this is really about where you see the world from the layers. Yeah, but I think it's... because you still see other layers as well. It's what your story is about your experience. So if your experience can stay the same and your story changes, and yes, that will change how you frame your experience, but it doesn't put everyone into a single frequency. It doesn't put everyone into a single experience. I don't know, it's not. The reason we're here is to have frequency variations, to embody them as experiences in a linear timeline. But the story is a good place to start because people get stuck in the story. They tell the story over and over and over again. It's like when you wake up in the morning, before you remember who you are, you have the freedom to do and be anything in the universe and beyond. But when you start remembering all the labels that you put on yourself and all the stories that you have about the web that you exist in, that you're tethered to, all the obligations and guilt and fear and wins and losses and whatever else it is that you've got in there, that becomes your story. But that can change at any time.
Okay. But I still wake up in my world. Like, and I think for the majority of people, they go, yeah, that 5 seconds before you wake up, you can do whatever you like, but then you awaken into a world where you have a family and you have a set of circumstances that you're in and you are operating in the world in a particular way.
I'm not talking about circumstances, I'm talking about the story that you tell about those circumstances. Yeah. So the story you have about your relationship with your father, the story you have about your career path, the story you have about your friendships, the story you have about your string of relationships, the story that you have about your relationship with money, the story you have about what's happening on the planet, the story you have about what is your purpose, they've got nothing to do with your circumstances. That's the story that you tell. Someone can look at my life from a list of data and come up with a completely different story than I have. A child can be diagnosed with what's that called? Fantasism or whatever it is, where they don't make up stories, but they tell stories about themselves that other people can't see evidence for. A lot of the times, those kids are either empathic or they're having past life experiences.
So say, or future life experiences.
No, I don't know about future life experiences, but I do know about the past life and empathic. Yeah, I mean, that's not beyond the imagination. We could easily be experiencing something that hasn't happened yet.
Well, yeah, if you can have past life experiences, there's no reason we can't have future. I mean, that's that thing of traditional cultures where they live in all time.
Yeah, I'm just saying I've never met a kid who that's what they're doing.
What about all the visionaries? I mean, in a way, that's what that book was about too. One of the characters
I haven't met them. I'm saying the kids that I've met that have done that, who have been diagnosed with that.
No, but I'm talking about me, really.
Yeah.
Where I've got this strong vision of what the future can be. Well, I've got layers of it, really. I can think of many pictures of the world that I see that don't exist now, but I see them strongly, and they are vision, like they are whatever. For me, they feel like they are realities that I would like to have occur. So I don't know if I've made them up because I would like to have them occur, or if they are possible, whatever directions that the human race could take on this planet. So for me, they are future stories, definitely. I guess that's why I have such an attachment to story. Because I do still feel like some are more preferable than others. And I mean, you obviously feel like to see the world from a viewpoint of love is more preferable than other viewpoints.
I don't have a choice. That's my reality. I don't know. I don't have another story. I only know that when I go in other directions, it's not true. My body tells me it's not true. I mean, I have a choice to hold on to a story that's not true. But if I follow the story to its end, it always goes to love. So when I ask for an explanation, I may not get it straight away, but I won't. And I'll come up with ideas and it will just say no until I get to, follow the thread to what is true. And my body tells me this is true. This is the story for you.
And then I come back to though, but true on what level? Because what's playing out for the people, like even generally, they won't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll think they're fighting, they'll think they're angry, they'll think they're whatever, they'll think there's a different story playing. And so I'm like, yeah, the truth of it is love. There's no doubt about that. But for whatever reason, we are in this this thing, this story, this other story that's playing out for, and some people would say it's playing out for the lessons, it's playing out for the learnings, it's playing out for, you have this experience, you get that gain, you get that win or whatever you want to call it, and then you pop up the next day with some more experience to be walking a journey towards love, enlightenment, heaven, whatever you want to call it, but everyone has this sense, or many people, there's not many people who don't have some sense that we are on a journey of struggle towards enlightenment. They use different words, but it feels like we've all adopted the same story, even though they look very different. Some of them look like the Quran, or some of them look like the Bible, or some of them look like New Age, going towards evolution of consciousness. But in all those stories, there's a sense that we're on this linear path, and we have lessons and we have challenges and we overcome them and we bring more love into our hearts, and that leads us to the place where we can be a better person and da-da-da-da-da. And then bing, we go out somewhere at some point, some very far distant point in the future. It's a big journey and a big struggle, especially if you're a Buddhist. Then it takes a very long time working very hard at being a good person. And it's kind of funny because all those stories are the same. I don't know, a lot of Western people definitely, go from being Catholic or some Christian religion and go, oh, I'm not going to follow that, that's ridiculous, we're not sinners. Oh, I'll go and be a New Age person where I have to struggle and strive to get it right as well. And it's pretty much the same story with a different overlay. It's some kind of quick transference. It's like a quick change artist act.
Yeah. And have that story if that works for you.
Well, no, I'm just saying the stories, like where we change our stories, they're all very similar. Like there's not this, I guess in that sense, there's not much variation on the story. If you start reading fairy tales, quite often the stories, they sit within a range of variations. There's not huge amounts of variations in the number of possibilities of stories and their trajectory and outcome. And, maybe there was a little bit of difference, like in the Grimm brothers' days, someone died, and in the Disney days, they don't so much die anymore. There's some shifts of plot, but
in the earlier stories, the archetypes were different, but
their trajectories, weren't necessarily that different. They came, they tried to love, they left in one form or another. They came, they tried to love. Try to survive.
Yeah. That's not my story. I'm not sure what else you want me to say. It's not my story.
What? Fairy tales?
No. The evolutionary consciousness trajectory of struggle towards a possible future that you never meet, because it's always in the future.
Mm. Well, are you going to share with the audience anything more about your story, or is that it's just love? It's all people being in love and loving.
I didn't say anything about people being in love and loving. The
No,
answer
but
is
you said
always
they
love.
did it because of love. You say that everyone's motivation is love. You're
Yeah.
saying that every action is motivated by love.
I'm saying every event, every person, every soul, every experience is about love. Motivations. I mean, when you follow the motivations back to their natural thread, all questions will be eventually lead back to love.
But what natural thread are you following? Because for most people, they'll get up in the morning, something will happen, and the thread they follow it back to is not love. The thread they follow it back to is their list of experiences and the evidence that they've had in their life of what the world looks like.
Mm.
And even though a lot of them are people who go, I know that thought creates my reality, and I know that if I think differently, my reality will become different, they're also on that linear path. They're not looking at it in the moment. They're looking at it, if I change my thought now, in the future, the consequences will be different. They're not looking at it as if, okay, if I get up in the morning and my husband's left his clothes everywhere and he's made a mess of everything before he's gone out the door, they're like, they're not thinking that their thoughts changing can change it in that moment, because they can see evidence all around them what a slob he is, or whatever whatever the thing is.
The evidence comes from your belief, not the thought. So you believe he should be doing something else. You believe, and it goes back to, like, they're the surface ones, and then you go back to your core beliefs. I mean, I don't know. It's not a general process. You have to do it with someone in their system. You have to do it with their experience, with their surface beliefs, with their core beliefs, with their thought process, with their loop, with their situation. But it's the beliefs that are allowing the evidence to be found. And then the thought process takes into the loop, and the loop keeps people out of their experience of love. I don't know, like, it's, and it's, the experience of love is always there, whether you're in it or not. I'm not sure how to explain it. It's not like if you don't do it right, you won't get it. It's there even when you're experiencing it differently. It's there when you are getting frustrated with all the clothes on the floor, or having those cycles of thoughts in blame and shame. It's still happening. It's still happening in that experience. But you can experience it differently. You can be conscious of the fact that it's love. And that's the story.
Oh, I'm back to the mothers again. I'm back to that's really love, when they slam the door in my face and tell me to F off. And I've just done everything for them for 12, 14 years, and now they're just abusing me and being vicious and mean, and I don't understand what's happening. That is not love. Don't tell me that's love. I've been loving them all my life. And now look how they treat me. I think people find it very difficult to find evidence of love in their life. Like, generally speaking, the actions and reactions of other people.
But they're not.
I'm just saying,
yeah.
Generally, people look around and go, war, abandonment, abuse, and they go, how on earth can I translate that into an act of love in my life? Like, how can I take the consequences of the story I've told myself over time to explain that to myself, to make it okay that those things happened?
You just asked about 5 different questions.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. People are caught, their stories are important to them because they've protected them for a long time. I mean, they've for whatever reason, they've made that story because it made them feel safe somewhere. It allowed them to keep going when things look like shit, when things look like pain, when things look like suffering or abuse, abandonment, torment, whatever.
The other way around. The story makes it look like abuse, abandonment, torture, war. The story doesn't help them cope. The belief tells them that this is I don't know. It's not something that you can dissertate in 10 words or less. It's something that you have to get to the core of as an individual. There's not a standard system that you can step into and say, if I can just pick this apart, then I will understand exactly what's going on. So your beliefs are important. Your core beliefs are important. How they came into being and recognizing how they get you exactly what you want. Knowing that the evidence around you is telling you what it is that you want will get you back to your core beliefs. When you understand your core beliefs, you can deal with your story. When you deal with your story, you can start finding evidence for the fact that it has all been about love. You can see how everything that you've ever experienced is serving you and how it empowers you. You don't label anything as fear and guilt. You know, there's no blame or shame. You get back to a place where life is happening for you. But it's an individual process. It's not like you can say, do X, Y, Z. I mean, we take people through the Perfect Present program over 8 weeks because it's not something that you can do in a session. You know, even with the heart and soul interventions, we can't do that with people until they've done that program. So they need to be able to have those processes in place and have that relationship with themselves conceptually and experientially over a period of time, because things will gestalt to the surface and they need to know that each time they're doing the same process and they're transferring it into a different scenario. And being able to do that, being able to say all of the fields of my existence are subject to the same processes, takes time because we've been taught to categorize all the different parts of our lives as different people. We play different roles by different rules. I can do it here but not there. All of that gets taken out. So even after you've done the program and you've had your intervention, you will still go into places and say, how do I do it here? But that's fine. I mean, when you get to that point and you say, I know what the process is, and you say, well, how do I do it here? You leave a gap. And however you need to do it or not do it will emerge in front of you, or it will emerge as guidance from inside, or it will appear in some form or another if you just keep seeing the things that are happening around you as the answer to the question that you've just asked. But it takes a while to see the world like that. It's the story is part of your life. It's how you view reality. It's not something, I mean, you might fight to hold on to it. And if you want to hold on to it, then hold on to it. It's not necessary. I mean, you are experiencing love in any story that you tell. But do you want to be conscious of it or not? And it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make you any wiser or won't get you anywhere any faster. It's just what kind of an experience do you want to have? No, I just get this. There's no brownie points for it. The only thing that changes is that you have a different experience. No, and then that's like, well, how is that enough? Won't I get the convertible or whatever it is that you think you want?
Every moment of your existence, you will be fascinated and you will ask a question and you will get an answer and you will be on an eternal adventure. I'm not sure what else you could ask for. That seems pretty amazing to me. But then maybe I don't ask for much.
And I think some people would say, and you get a lot, so it's easy for you. You don't have to be in wars. You don't have to have this. Oh, my life's different. Da, 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 da. I think, that's the trajectory of that one for people looking out, at other people's lives and going, well, your life is different to mine. It would be easier for you. That's why you can sit around thinking about love all day because you don't have children to get to school. Da, 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 da.
I don't think about love all day. It's just how I live. Everyone I meet, the only thing I'm interested in is how amazing they are. How can I see that they're a gift? It's the only interaction I have.
How do you keep focus on the positive? Because people would then drop into positive and negative and go, well, she's looking at the positive. All I can see around me is the negative.
I don't have positive and negative.
But somehow you manage to be fascinated by whatever's in front of you, whether it looks like something that's debilitating or destroying things.
It doesn't look like that.
No, but it looks like that to most people. It's categorized into those.
So that's the story. I mean, and that's where it comes back to, you have to do the process. None of that's going to change until you change the story, the core beliefs. I don't know. But you don't have to. I mean, you're going to have the same experience, that you just going to have a different story about what it means. You're going to have different labels on things. The door's not going to say, what was the word that you used?
Destruction, debilitation.
Debilitating. It's not going to say debilitating. It's going to go, ooh, we haven't done this before. Let's do this. Let's have this experience. What happens when we press this button? And whatever happens, happens. There is no sense of this is going.
There's a lot of energy coming back going, well, fucking great. That's great for you. He's got a lot of different doors to walk through. I've got the same door to walk through every day. Talk about pushing buttons. I get my buttons pushed every day. The same buttons they push over and over again. At home, at work, with my family.
Yeah, but
they're pushing my buttons. You want buttons pushed? Come to my house and try living in my shoes for a day.
Yeah, but there are no buttons. Nobody can. I mean, unless it's part of something that you want to become aware of, and chances are it's some part of you saying, please integrate me. I have a great CV. Here I am, this amazing idiosyncrasy, and you haven't given me a room in your house and you're not letting me do my job, so I am out here letting people push your buttons because I want you to welcome me home. I want you to give me a job. Most of the reactions that we have, not about other people. It's about love. It's about your soul saying, please integrate all of your idiosyncrasies because you have them for a reason. They all work for you. And when you can welcome them all home, you can see yourself as a gift. They can all have a place in your house and nobody can push your buttons. Because when someone's yelling at you, it's about them. It's not about you. When someone slams the door in your face, it's about them, it's not about you. And you look for a way to empower them. You look for a way, and if you can't do that, I mean, first, it is about saying, how does this empower me? I am in this situation, how does this empower me? And then what is the course of action that I need to take that demonstrates love? And love is empowering other people in a way that they can recognize, not in a, I know what you need to do, so do what you're told. And that's, every situation turns into that. But all of the charge that you have about this being possible is because you know it's possible. There's a lot of energy pushing you to have that experience. But you don't have to. I mean, that's the idea. The idea of being human is that you can have any configuration of frequencies you want. There's no spiritual hurting, as we say. But any charge that you have is leading you back to love. It's saying, please integrate this. Please, love this. Please take me here. Please become aware of this core belief. Please be grateful for this story. So that's all the other layers that are going on when you think someone is leaving clothes on the floor or slamming the door in the face or whatever it is that you think is going on. Your soul level experience, which when it's embodied becomes, how can I be here? Fascinated. And if you have to keep asking the questions and emote and whatever it is that you need to do in order to embody that soul experience, then there's no test. That's perfect. Do that.
Well, I just get a sense that there's people out there saying, well, that's all very well. I'm not emoting right now. I'm dead. Cold. There's so many people in this world who've come on a mission for love and spoken only love and given only love, and they've been crucified or they've died or they've been taken from us young, or, it feels like for people they haven't done their job. They haven't completed their mission here or whatever. And I just get a sense with that, around love, around faith in love, that shatters people somewhere. And there's people going, well, that's all good and well to be in love, but look what happens to people who are loved.
The soul level experience doesn't have that story. It takes the experience of that lifetime that you see as being taken too early, being crucified, whatever it is that you think happened. When that story goes back to soul level says, wow, that was cool. Wasn't that an adventure? We haven't done that before. Let's go back. Let's go have another story. That was amazing. Soul level experience doesn't have torture and abuse and neglect and whatever else you think the story is.
All right, so you've convinced us all now, Mel, but we get up in the morning and we're pissed. There's no gap for us. We don't get up in the morning and have unlimited possibilities and dreams that make us think that anything's possible. We wake up and we're already in the fucking shit. There's too much to do, too much going on. I'm still angry from yesterday. I'm tired. I'm over this. This is not what I signed up for.
This is
where
exactly
do I find the gap?
No,
but I'm just saying, where do we find the gap to be fascinated?
You don't.
Where's the gap in that when you have to get up and do your stuff and keep moving and keep going and you've got a lot on your plate? And
you can't. I mean, it's not a... You can't. You have to do... You have to become aware of the story. You have to become aware of the beliefs that are creating exactly what you want, and what you want is in front of you. So if all of those things are happening in front of you, how do they serve you? How are they getting you exactly what you want?
How is this serving me? I get to be the martyr every day.
Yeah.
What do you mean, how is this serving me?
So
I didn't sign up to be a martyr.
Well, your beliefs do. So your beliefs have said, being a martyr will get me love. You can tell a different story.
And we know that on this planet that's true. Look at all the martyred saints and saviours out there.
Yeah. So being a martyr will get
all
me
the
love.
mothers who are loved because they sacrifice everything.
So can you be grateful for the fact that your core belief has gotten you exactly what you wanted? And if you can choose to keep the core belief or change it. It's up to you. Would you like to have a different experience now that you've practiced being a martyr in order to get love? Would you like to have a different story about how to get love?
Yes.
Okay.
But the evidence all around me says there's no other story. That's
the
the way it
evidence comes
works
from your belief. The belief comes first. So once you're grateful for being a martyr, and you know that got you exactly what you wanted.
I did it well.
Then
I've been the best martyr that I know.
You can say,
Oh, okay, Mum. I know you tried harder than me too, but I did my best.
it's not about being the best. It's about acknowledging that it got you exactly what you wanted. That it served
Oh,
you
yeah. Well,
perfectly.
me and my mum would both agree that we love each other's martyrdom to tears.
Yeah, it served you perfectly. It got you the love that you wanted. And so now you would like to have a different experience of receiving love, of knowing love, of embodying love.
Mm.
So what kind of an
And
experience
so
would you
how
like
do
to have?
you know when you change your beliefs that you're not just going to change them for another crap belief that's got nothing to do with love? Like,
Well,
because I think many of us have had those journeys where we've been working on these things for ages and we've changed core beliefs, we've worked on our core beliefs,
but that means that you
moved
haven't.
through things and we've changed stories and it's gone on and on for lifetimes infinite.
But if you're seeing it as a crap core belief, then you haven't acknowledged that it got you exactly what you wanted. If you're saying, oh, I don't want to exchange it for another crap belief, then you haven't acknowledged. You're not grateful. You can't see that it got you what you wanted.
Mm.
So you can't move to a new one yet. You need to fully acknowledge that the core belief that you have, that being a martyr will get you love, got you exactly what you wanted. It served you perfectly. You can't believe that it's a crap core belief if you are grateful that it served you perfectly. So you need to find the place where you have to stand to see that it served you perfectly. Otherwise you can't move to the next one. You'll just be adding layers and layers and layers. Because it becomes integrated when you acknowledge that it is love. All those things, all your idiosyncrasies, all your beliefs and core beliefs and all the other stuff that's going on can only be integrated when you acknowledge how they serve you. And then there is no charge. I mean, you still walk around in the world going, ooh, I like that. Hey, amazing, look at that. Or there will be situations that feel tight. But when you get into that tightness, you will go, this is interesting. Let's go here. Let's have this experience. It's not, oh, crap, it's tight. That means there's something wrong. And you can call it what you want, as long as you don't let the labels take you into a story about how it's not serving you. I mean, you can use the words pain and things like that, and you can just say, well, I fucking hate this, whatever it is, but there is a sense that you stay in it. You're not trying to get rid of it. You're trying to embody exactly what your reaction is so that you can get closer to what's going on. You're not trying to justify it or clear it or overlay it with some affirmation that makes the world sparkly. It's there because it's serving you. There is a sense that it has something for you. So you stay in it, cursing and wriggling and whatever you need to do.
Is that the best you've got for us, Malinsky? We just have to stay in it. Are you for real? Is that the best you've got for us? We'll change our story and we'll just have to stay in it and keep going through these lifetimes of suffering and pain and ups and downs and ins and outs. Is that the best you've got for us?
And that's not what I see. If that's the story you have, then you're outside. Because that's not what it's like when you're standing in it. When you embody it, it doesn't look like that. When you embody it, all there is now.
Oh, God, I've still got it wrong then. I'm still on the outside of it trying to think like you and I'm not getting it right. Ah! When will I ever become a saint and not a martyr?
I thought you were saying for them.
I am. I'm jumping between them and me.
Okay. Yeah, but it's just another story. So is that the best you've got? We have to ride the wave. There will always be suffering. We can't avoid it. We can't control it. We can't manipulate it. Yeah, if you want control, this is definitely not the way to go. This is not about control.
But I just get that sense, like, people are anchored in the polarities. They're anchored in those dualities. There's good, bad, right, wrong, better, worse, whatever. And they're surrounded by a world that amplifies that.
No, they're in a story that amplifies that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the same world and it doesn't tell me that story. It's got nothing to do with the world. It's got to do with the story. Same world, different story.
So, shell drilling in the Arctic,
Yeah.
having their logos on Lego. I'm sure many of you have seen that ad lately.
No, I don't.
How can you not see that? Like, that's the thing. How can you not see it? It's if those things are in front of you and they're things that are obviously not beneficial for the planet, not beneficial for future generations, not even beneficial for us right now. Like, that's the thing.
So how does
you
it
don't
serve
see
you?
it.
But how does it serve you? What do you need to do? Where do you need to stand? Is it part of your life journey? Is that why it's in your field of vision? What do you need to do about it? Where do you need to stand in order to know that it serves you? How does it give you a job?
But if you're taking action on it and you think it's something that's necessary to take action on, if it's your sole purpose or whatever you want to call it.
It doesn't mean you have to judge it.
But how can you not? That's what I'm saying. If you've practiced for a lifetime, everyone else in that field is judging it. Everywhere you look, there's judgments on it. How do you stay outside of it? How do we learn to stay outside of those judgments, particularly if we want to continue on our purpose? And if our purpose is into those areas where it's highly judgmental, it's highly
Doesn't matter about
vilified, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but if you're standing in your power and you know your truth, that's anybody else's story is them being love. You don't want to change them. You don't want the way you interact with them is the same way you interact with everything else in fascination.
And then I'm going, well,
how does this serve me? How can I empower them in a way that serves them, not me? It doesn't manipulate the situation so I have control. You know, if you're drawn to a particular field, go there. But you don't have to take judgment with you. You can still be fascinated. You can still do your job from a place where you know everything from a soul level experience.
and so I'm just getting like this thing though about if you're an empath and you go in there and you don't know where the wall is, the layer is between your, or it's not even just empath, it's like mob mentality. We seem to be pretty highly tuned to each other for whatever reason, whether it's mob mentality or whether it's empathic people.
But only if you've got that story. You can't, it's not.
A lot of us feel like sponges. We do feel like the environment influences what we, not just what we experience, but the way we experience it. Like so we do feel like our families' beliefs have shaped us and we have come out a certain shape due to the fact that we lived in an environment that looked a particular way or felt a particular way or responded a particular way.
So how can you know that that serves you? Because somewhere it does. Whatever your configuration of that experience is, it's there to empower you. Where do you have to stand in order to see that?
So if you've got caught up with someone and you've been fighting, you've gone into a blue and it's ended up going too far and then you've ended up in jail, somewhere that's serving you.
Yeah. Because that's a whole heap of experiences. That's not a single experience. I mean, you can say the word poverty, but that's a label. You can say the word jail, but that's a label.
Yeah, but it is an experience for people.
Yeah, but it's lots of experiences.
Oh,
it's not one.
It's a lot. It's day after day after day of not having food in the cupboard.
It's moment after moment after moment. It's not day after day after day. It's moment after moment after moment. And in each moment is an experience. I mean, the idea of saying rich people experience every moment in a particular way that is the opposite of what someone in poverty experiences in each moment is an illusion. You know, the physical pain and suffering that you label poverty with is the same experience for someone who is rich. It's just embodied in a different way. It looks different to you from the outside, and you have different labels for it. The line is not between the labels. You know, incarceration, freedom, poverty, wealth. The line is in each moment, in the story, in the experience.
Well, we've made all that seem very serious. Now you get to go and play with your story. Aren't you lucky? You can take it seriously if you like. Or you can have a laugh. Good luck with that. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Is there anything else you wanted to add to close off this topic of story, Miss Malinsky?
No, I'm just answering questions. I don't really... have a sense.
Well, that was Mel being interviewed by me and asking her questions on behalf of you. So if you have any other questions you'd like to ask Mel through me on behalf of you, or otherwise you can either just sit there and think them, or you can send them in to us. And next week we will talk about whatever you like. But generally we'd love you to be playing in your story is the main thing. And whatever your story is, have a full embodied experience of it. Let yourself laugh and cry and be aware of all the layers of what's happening for you in the moment. And you can watch any of our old episodes, which are pretty funny, some of them. You really get a sense of our stories and the journeys we've taken to get to these stories. And we'll see you on the flip side.
And where do you want to send them if they want to know more? Facebook page?
Well, Miss Malinsky's been busy making websites. Maybe you'd like to send them somewhere yourself.
Not until we have the page set up. No. For Miracles and Wonder. So maybe the Facebook page for Miracles and Wonder.
Why don't you go to the Facebook page? But of course you can also go to Creating Calm, where you will find a plethora. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
A plethora of shows by amazing empaths, intuits, evolutionary-minded beings. And you can also find us on the Creating Calm Network site. That's where you'll find a big mob of our shows as well.
So facebook.com/Maud, is it Maud Mel and Louise? Maud Mel and Louise.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's where you'll find us. So have a lovely day, and we will see you
Next Tuesday.
Ciao for now.